We next will call the Common Council meeting to order. If you could all rise or respectfully put your hand over your heart and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Alderman Strelchak?
Here.
Alderman Bushy?
Here.
Alderman Meyer?
Here.
Alderman Hancher?
Here.
Alderman Garrell?
Here.
Alderman Parrish?
Here.
Alderman Schneider? Here. Alderman Nurbin?
Here.
And Mayor Worth?
Here. We have a quorum. There are 4 announcements I'm supposed to read at the beginning of every meeting. I skipped them in the 2 utility commission meetings because of the brevity of the meetings. Please, there may be people listening on a phone and not watching video. So if you're going to speak, unless I say your name first, please announce your name. Please don't talk over each other. It makes it hard to hear. Oh, good grief. If people are observing the meeting, or even if you're participating, please silence your phones or microphones except when speaking. And finally, we are not taking public comments this evening unless you registered in advance for public comments. But we may be changing that rule during this meeting. The first item of business on our agenda is we have a public hearing. The first public hearing is ordinance 2020-1572. That's an ordinance amending chapter 58 of the zoning code to rezone the property located at 2505 West Mequon Road from R3 to B3 and to amend the land use plan map from residential 1 to 1.5 acres to allow for a dental office. This was recommended by the Planning Commission on March 9th. The first reading was at the Common Council on May 12th. Is there a motion to go into public hearing?
Move to go into public hearing.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
We're in public hearing. Did anyone register to speak for on this matter?
Mayor Worth, this is Assistant Administrator Justin Shinneman. No one submitted a request to speak during the public hearing.
All right. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close public hearing.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 That hearing is closed. The next public hearing is ordinance 2020-1574. This is to amend chapter 58 to reconfigure properties at 10545 West Heather Drive. Is there a motion to go? This was recommended by the Planning Commission on April. I apologize. We're supposed to take up each of these ordinances. It's not our normal meeting or normal way of doing it. I should know by now with these COVID requirements to do that. So go back to ordinance 2020-1572. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Strelchak?
Aye.
Alderman Bushy?
Aye.
Alderman Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Hancher?
Aye.
Alderman Garrell?
Aye.
Alderman Parrish?
Aye.
Alderman Schneider? Aye. And Alderman Nurbin?
Aye.
That matter passes, and we'll go on to a public hearing for ordinance 2020-1574. I announced it already for Heather Drive. This was recommended by the Planning Commission on April 27th, and the first reading was at the Common Council on May 12th. Is there a motion to go into public hearing?
Move to go into public hearing.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Shenneman, did anyone register to speak in the public hearing on this item?
Nobody registered to speak.
Thank you. That being said, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That matter is closed. We have a motion to approve ordinance 2020-1574.
Move to
I
approve.
move to approve 1574.
So we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Bushy,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Hancher,
Aye.
Alderman Garrell,
Aye.
Alderman Parrish,
Aye.
Alderman Schneider,
Aye.
Alderman Nerben,
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak.
Aye.
And that matter passes. Public officials reports. I do have a couple of things this evening. I will try to be, brief. First of all, many of you may have been contacted about outbreaks at a couple of different businesses and stores in Mequon. Those outbreaks, in fact, there was a report in one newspaper. I think it's important for everybody to realize that the fact that a business may have had some employees who contracted the coronavirus does not mean that they have it now. And the health department, and by the way, an outbreak simply means at least 2 people at a location have been diagnosed with COVID-19. Most of the time, and including the times that have been reported, that information comes out after the fact. And in fact, the supposed outbreak or the outbreak that there was, at least at one of the businesses, was a while ago. The business responded as required by the health department, cleaned, sent people home, sent people who they were in contact with home, did contact tracing and other things. And those businesses currently are not at least according to the health department and by all accounts, are not dangerous places to go, and people should hopefully not worry about that. My second announcement is the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation has now come up with a new program where they're issuing 30,000 grants of $2,500 to Mequon small businesses to help them get back on their feet from the disruptions caused by COVID-19. You need to have 20 or fewer full-time equivalent employees, including the owner. I think it'd be good if all of us on this call let people know that this is available, and I ask Mr. Sheneman to also include that in our next newsletter. But it's another opportunity to help our small businesses that have been hurt by the outbreak. My third and final one, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we're shocked and saddened by the horrific killing of George Floyd. It was criminal and inexcusable. A silver lining, if there can be one under these circumstances, is that the national discussion causes all of us to examine what we should do and what we should do as a community to ensure that Black and brown people of different faiths, and all other people who are different are treated fairly and as important members of our community. But a lot of attention has been given to police departments. And I'd like to say very clearly that we as a city strongly believe in the importance of our police services. We stand behind the men and women who serve us. Now is not the time to change that. Our police department does a great job and continuously strives to do a better job. I'm certain Chief Pryor, his command staff, and his officers will continue to do so. So considering the national discussion, Chief Pryor and I decided that this is a good opportunity for him to address the council and the city. So I'm going to allow him a few minutes to talk about what our police department's done and is doing, and give kind of an update of the police department, because I think with all that's going on and all very sincere and legitimate, much sincere and legitimate concerns, it's also important for us to be with our police department and stand behind our police department. So Chief Pryor, if you could speak for a few minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Mayor and members of the Common Council and members of the community of Mequon, our staff at the police department has been discussing the death of Mr. George Floyd, and we share in the anger and shock at his treatment by the police and his subsequent death. And our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. We at the police department work hard to maintain trust and transparency within our community. A tragic event like this can damage that trust. Our officers and I would like you to know that we do not take this trust for granted, and that we will work hard to maintain and, if needed, regain your trust. In the last year, we've updated all of our police department policies. We've also implemented a training system to make sure that our officers are familiar with and trained on those policies. The Mequon Police Department places a strong focus on training and education for our staff. Over the last several years, our officers have been trained in crisis intervention, de-escalation, and most recently, we conducted refresher training on emergency detentions to help us deal with people in mental health crisis. In addition, our department has several instructors certified by the state of Wisconsin to teach our officers on topics including use of force, which is the amount of effort required by police to achieve compliance, emergency medical care, which is first aid practice to rescue injured citizens as well as injured officers, and legal updates, which is information provided by our district attorney and staff regarding new legislation and law changes impacting officers. In the last 10 days, Captain Riley, Captain Hale, and I have spoken to every officer on our department to remind them about accountability and their service to the citizens. We reminded them that they have the authority to intervene when they see misconduct or criminal behavior, regardless of rank or seniority. We expect them to not engage in misconduct, and we do not tolerate such behavior on the part of any of our employees. Law enforcement training in Wisconsin currently includes instruction on cultural diversity and de-escalation tactics. Wisconsin law enforcement officers are taught any use of force must be objectively reasonable, and moreover, Wisconsin does not teach any type of chokehold as a compliance alternative. The state of Wisconsin statutes require 11 mandatory policies that every law enforcement agency must adopt, including requirements specific to use of force and officer-involved death investigations. We have all of those required policies. Our Mequon Police Department Policy Manual is available on our website if you'd like to read it. There has also been a significant discussion, and I've received a lot of questions about something called the 8 Can't Wait policies. This is a group calling for communities to immediately enact policies that include the following 8 issues. Require de-escalation, require warning and exhaust all alternatives before shooting, a duty to intervene, ban shooting at moving vehicles, require use of force continuum, ban chokeholds, and require comprehensive reporting. I'm proud to say that all of our policies and our Wisconsin use of force training currently includes all of these issues. In 2014, Wisconsin became the first state in the country to enact a law requiring outside investigations when there is an officer-involved death. Our practice at the Mequon Police Department is to call for the State Department of Criminal Investigation to come in and investigate any case in an officer-involved shooting or death. This provides an independent review of that case. We here at the police department would like you to know that we're here to work together with you as a community. We're here to keep our community safe. We can only do that with the community relationships that we built over the years. We strive to learn from all events and to become better servants of the community. We have a great relationship, and I want to thank everyone for all the support they've given us. And I want to take this opportunity to learn and become a better department. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, members of the Common Council, and citizens of Mequon.
Thank you very much, Chief. I just think it's important for us to realize that you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and police services are one of the most important things we provide to our community. And we've got a great department that regardless of whether changes now or in the future need to be made, I think our department tries to do that and tries to stay ahead of the curve rather than falling behind. So thank you, Chief. City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and thank you, Chief Pryor, for your update. Dialing back to the COVID-19 topic for just a moment, at the last two Finance and Personnel Committee meetings, both earlier this evening and last month, staff has been working with members of the committee to walk through revenue projections for the 2020 fiscal year, which began January 1st, as well as steps that staff is taking organization-wide to restrain expenditures where necessary so that we can continue to maintain the city's strong financial position through the remainder of calendar and fiscal year 2020, and as we enter into budget development season starting next month. And this is all with an eye towards making sure that we can continue to provide the essential services that we otherwise are hired and staffed here to do on a daily basis on behalf of the community. I'll quickly report that in our report to the committee last month, staff preliminarily estimated a shortfall of approximately $800,000 in revenues when we get to the end of the fiscal year here in December. Through the last several weeks and through the hard work of all of our city departments and associated staff, we have been able to identify approximately $750,000 worth of expenditure reductions through the course of all departmental budgets that will help us to balance that revenue shortfall as we move into the second part of the year. So we walked through those expenditure reductions with the committee earlier this evening. And it is staff's plan at this point to bring forth a 6-month update on revenue projections and expenditure restraint opportunities for the committee to review. And that report will also be furnished to all members of the Common Council prior to their next meeting on July 14th next month. So just a quick note that staff is keeping our eyes focused on the financial picture as we move through what we can all agree has been an extremely challenging start to 2020. Two other quick items of note. City Hall reopened for business, as did our other city facilities, including the Public Works Building and the Public Safety Building and the East Side Fire Station, starting last Monday, June 1st. City Hall is currently open this week between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. or 2 p.m., excuse me, through this Friday. Beginning next week, we will be open during our regularly posted business hours starting Monday, June 15th, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. So any members of the community, any contractors, anyone seeking to do business in person will be able to do so during our normal business hours at all city facilities. And lastly, staff was informed last week that the committee that oversees the Fun Before the Fourth Independence Day festivities here in the Mequon Thiensville community will be taking place this year towards the end of this month on Saturday, June 27th. While the event will be scaled down to some degree with less activities in Village Park in Thiensville during the day, there will be a parade stepping off from the library property at 10:30 on Saturday morning, and there will be fireworks to be enjoyed by members of the community later that evening. More details are available on the Fun Before the Fourth website for those who are interested in attending and or participating. Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. The next is the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda this month, we have the Common Council minutes of May 12th, the special Common Council minutes of April 28th and May 20th, the Economic Development Board minutes of January 28th, the Ethics Board minutes of January 30th and May 19th, the Festival Committee minutes of February 24th, the Finance Personnel Committee minutes of April 14th, the Park and Open Space Board minutes of February 19th, the Planning Commission minutes of April 27th, the Public Welfare Committee minutes of April 14th, the Public Works Committee minutes of April 14th, the Sewer Utility District Commission minutes of March 10th, and acceptance of the fiscal year 2019 comprehensive annual financial report and report on internal controls, otherwise known as an audit. Is there a motion to accept, to approve the consent agenda and accept the items in it?
Second.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is approved. The next item is an ordinance 2020-1568. This is the re-referral ordinance of matters before the Common Council of the Planning Commission. This was recommended by Public Welfare on February 11th, was denied by the Planning Commission on March 9th. There was a first reading at the Common Council on March 10th. There was a public hearing at the Common Council on May 12th. It was tabled by the Common Council on May 12th. And the Public Welfare Committee this evening, I hope Alderman or Chairman Meyer doesn't mind if I announce, recommended approval with one amendment. The amendment was being circulated after the meeting, the actual language. Before we get into discussion, Aldermans Bushey, Meyer, and Nurbin, did you have a chance to look at it? And is the language of the amendment what you're looking for?
I think I need
Anybody?
I didn't see it.
What's that?
Where?
It was emailed to you.
Okay. 1 second.
I'll read it to. I'll read what
I never saw it.
let me read the proposed amendment to what's in your packet. And these two sentences would follow, if you look at the language in the proposed ordinance, it would follow A, B, and C. So it'd be, if the ordinance is proposed pursuant to a petition for change or amendment submitted by a private property owner, the re-referral shall only occur if requested in writing by the applicant on or before the 5th business day following the Common Council meeting. If the applicant fails to make such written request, the decision of the Common Council shall be deemed final. So if the council remembers, at the last council meeting, there was discussion about adding language that this is a one-time re-referral. So that language that was just read would come after A1, 2, and 3, after the 3. So it'd probably be a new B. The idea was to limit this to one re-referral. Alderman Meyer raised the issue of, if the applicant doesn't really want the re-referral, does it need to go to the Planning Commission? So the committee recommended approval with conceptually the language I just read. The city attorney's reviewed that language and believes that it reflects what the committee was requesting.
And Mayor, that's what I was trying to get across, so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I don't see any hands. Please call a roll.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Hancher,
Aye.
Alderman Garrell,
Aye.
Alderman Parrish,
Aye.
Alderman Schneider,
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin,
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk,
Aye.
Alderman Bushey.
Aye.
That passes. The next ordinance is ordinance 2020-1575. This is to amend section 2663 of the code, reducing the number of mayoral appointments to the Mequon Nature Reserve Board from 3 to 1. This was recommended by the Public Welfare Committee on May 12th. There was a first reading at the Common Council on May 12th. Is there a motion to approve?
Move
I
approval.
move to approve.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Hancher,
Aye.
Alderman Garrell,
Aye.
Alderman Parrish,
Aye.
Alderman Schneider,
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin,
Aye.
Alderman Stralchuk,
Aye.
Alderman Bushy,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
And that passes. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 3737. This would approve amendments to the 2020 fee schedule for the fire and ambulance services. The Finance Personnel Committee met and discussed this evening and unanimously recommended its adoption with one amendment. I'd ask Alderman Nurbin to read the amendment because he promised me he'd keep it handy.
Sure, Mayor, that amendment basically modified what you see before you in regard to the false alarm fees for the fire department. What's stated in front of you maintains the old fee schedule. And I proposed as an amendment in the committee meeting to take early action on the police false alarm fee and roll out the changes we intended to make at the end of the year early. So that would essentially waive the false alarm fee for the first offense and make the second, third, and fourth offenses $200, $300, and $400 respectively, as we agreed to do for the police departments at the February 26th meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Okay, so to make it clear, this is an amendment both for the fire department and the police department. It would get rid of the first, we would no longer charge for the first false alarm, but then there would be that progressive schedule that Alderman Nurbin just read. Is there a motion to approve this fee change in the fee schedule?
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Questions, Alderman Meyer?
Well, what kind of fiscal impact is that? Do we know?
Mr. Jones or Ms. Krieger? Mr. Jones?
This was a motion that was introduced on the fly earlier this evening at the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. Honestly, Alderman Meyer, we have not had the time to do a fiscal analysis of what this change will mean. I will recall from the committee's February meeting when police false alarm fees were reviewed, that this will result in an increase in the fee charged for the second, the third, and the fourth alarm. So my sense is, and again, on the fly, is that the increases for the second, third, and fourth false alarm will offset some of the impact or revenue loss that occurs when if we decide to waive the first fee or the first false alarm.
I would also note that Mr. Jones pointed out during the committee meeting this evening that on the fire department fee change, it's more than made up for the changes in fire department. I mean, significantly more that we're otherwise approving in the rest of this resolution. Ms. Krieger, did I see your hand raised? Shake your head no if it's no. I can't hear you.
Sorry,
There you go.
I was trying to get a hold of the meeting packet from the police department fee review, and most fees are associated with the first false alarm, but I would concur with what Will has said with the fact that the second and third and fourth alarms will offset some of this, and also those fire fee increases. I don't have a specific dollar amount though.
I would also note that the police department, as far as their fee, had recommended the waiver. And the discussion was, if I remember correctly, and the discussion was to have the two departments first waiver, not to have one with a charge and the other without. And in fact, that's why that wasn't in the proposal this evening that went to finance personnel. It was going to go in the proposal for the end of the year. The committee suggested that we ought to do both of them now, considering the appeals that we get from those fees, and the committee had made that decision very early in the year that to get rid of those first charges. Other comments, questions, suggestions? Alderman Schneider?
I just had a question about BLS on-scene care, which we previously charged $0 for, and now we are having a charge for. My question is, does that involve an assessment of someone that was in a car crash, or is this just appearing on the scene? This is under the accident section.
Yeah, they would,
Chief Bielk?
they only get a charge if we actually do an assessment. If there's 6 people in a car and we show up and they all say we're not hurt, nobody gets a bill.
Okay.
If it's a third party call, somebody sees a bicycle accident, calls 911, that person does not get a bill either. But they will, if we go to their house and they fell down, we pick them up and they say, oh, I'm okay, I'll go to the hospital another way, that's when they're gonna get a bill.
I see, thank you.
Alderman Boucher, did I see your hand raised? Anybody else? Having trouble with the camera. Hearing none, Alderman Strelchek.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. When a third party calls, if in a bicycle accident, they wouldn't get a charge if the bicyclist refuses care, but if they do accept care, they would receive a charge? Or can you clarify that?
Yes, if we actually do an assessment on them and give them a bandage or ice pack or something, then they would get a charge. But if
Okay.
they didn't call us, there's no reason to be there.
Just because we're on public record, I wanted to make that point of clarification as the public might be listening.
Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Alderman Garrow,
Aye.
Alderman Parrish,
Aye.
Alderman Schneider,
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin,
Aye.
Alderman Strelchuk,
Aye.
Alderman Bushy,
Aye.
Alderman Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Hancher.
Aye.
And that passes. The next item is Resolution 3738, a resolution amending proclamation number 3 that governs electronic meetings. Public welfare, what did you do with that this evening?
We approve that, so I move for approval.
Is there a motion?
Second.
I didn't hear a motion.
Motion was made by Alderman Meyer.
Oh, didn't hear him. Okay, we have a motion to second. Questions. Alderman Boucher.
I think Brian is going to chime in on what I was going to say about the or statement.
Correct.
Mr. Say.
Right. Public welfare's approval or recommendation for approval did include 2 changes. The first change is in section 1 of the resolution that's within your packet. So we're talking at the bottom of page 127 onto the top of 128. The committee recommended that after the language that's inserted, that the word or is then inserted and the language that is deleted be reinserted. In other words, to still authorize and provide for a method for the public to provide written comments as well as verbal comments that's there. The second change would be section 3, just below that. That section eliminates the language that relates to public comments being read at the meeting. And so the recommendation would be to just strike section 3, leaving section 3I in the proclamation, and then renumber the subsequent sections accordingly.
Is that consistent with the movement in the seconders? Are those friendly amendments?
That's correct.
Yes.
Do we have a
Yes.
motion and a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is, I think it's 3739. I got to get back to the agenda. It's item 3739, and that's to eliminate resolution 3739 and that, 3743, and that's a resolution approving cancellation of the 2020 Taste of Mequon. Alderman Meyer.
Public welfare took a look at this evening. We didn't want to approve it, but we did. we approve the cancellation.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And just in case anybody's watching, the committee is looking at alternatives for some other event to replace Taste of Mequon this year that doesn't require a large gathering, but that still could be pulled off to assist our business community. The next item is Resolution 3741. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of various documents in connection with the phase 1 feasibility analysis of the fire and EMS service sharing in Ozaukee County. Public safety. Alderman Chairman Schneider, what did you do with this evening?
Approved unanimously, and I move approval.
Is there a second? Thank you for your, there is a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Alderman Parrish.
Aye.
Alderman Schneider.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak.
Aye.
Alderman Bushy.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hancher.
Aye.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
Great, that passes 8-0. Resolution 3672, a resolution approving a settlement agreement of the claim of Harriet Myers for damage to a basement at 10348 Northwest Point Circle. This was tabled by the Sewer Utility District Commission in December. It was tabled by the Common Council in December. The Sewer Utility District Commission this evening recommended approval. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Alderman Nurbin.
I'll move to remove it from the table.
I apologize. You're correct. We have a motion and a second to remove it from the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Now we have a motion and a second to approve it. A little out of order, a little wrong order, but it still works. Any other discussion, questions, or comments? Alderman Parrish.
Probably should have asked this before. So this is also binding on future owners of the property, not just the current owner. It could be a claim, but future. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Alderman Schneider.
Aye.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak.
Aye.
Alderman Bushy.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hancher.
Aye.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
Alderman Parrish.
And that passes. We have two appointments to seek your approval of this evening. Is there a motion to approve the appointments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 The appointments are approved. We have one last item on our agenda. This is a potential closed session for the Eastern Sewer Project basement damage claims. The Common Council may convene in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985 1G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who's rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation which it is or is likely to become involved. It says we may convene an open session to take additional action, but we are not scheduled to take, we would not be coming back into open session. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion in a second. Please call the roll.
Alderman Nurbin.
Aye.
Alderman Strelchak.
Aye.
Alderman Bushy.
Aye.
Alderman Meyer.
Aye.
Alderman Hancher.
Aye.
Alderman Garrow.
Aye.
Alderman Parrish.
Aye.
Alderman Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Worth.
Aye.